Come on now, bro. All these pound-for-pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need $200 million to do it.
At $200 million for you. I'm fighting Jake Paul.
Pussy.
You fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it seriously. You know, that goes to show, you know, how serious he's taking me and how.
Terence Crawford has completely flipped his stance on Jake Paul's role in boxing. With Tank Davis stepping back, Crawford now says he'd take the fight if the timing and terms line up. That's a big shift for a man who once dismissed Jake Paul as a social media act pretending to be a boxer. Back then, Crawford didn't believe Jake deserved to share the same ring with lifelong pros. But now the lure of a huge payday and seeing Jake's steady rise might have changed his tune. Crawford once saw Jake as a sideshow, a YouTuber turning the sport into entertainment. Today, he's starting to see a fighter who's earning his place, not just cashing in.
He can punch with that right hand. Like, I seen him, you know what I mean, up close in person. Like, dude is big. He's not as slow as people think he is, and he can punch. You know, that's why a lot of people know, like, there was times where, you know, him and Tyson was in
The turnaround is real. Crawford has admitted that his outlook on Jake Paul isn't the same anymore. On Logan Paul's podcast, he opened up saying, yeah, he's boxing. I was against it at first. I thought it was disrespectful that a YouTuber could just walk in and make millions while real boxers grind for years. Crawford was honest. He once viewed Jake and Logan as outsiders exploiting the game. But now he's giving credit where it's due. Hearing a purist like Crawford acknowledge that shift says a lot about how much Jake has managed to change perceptions in such a short time.
Because check this out, Tank ain't gonna lose this fight. Hell no. Hell no. Tank ain't losing this fight. Too many holes. Man, Jake don't have enough experience. Yeah, man, this gonna be taking candy from a baby. You know, Jake is missing the rules. See, this is what happened when you don't grow up in the game. When you don't grow up in the game, man, at a young age, this is what happens. You know?
Crawford says his change of heart came after watching Jake Paul train. He saw a man committed, not a clout chaser, not an influencer pretending to box. After seeing the discipline and seriousness he brings to training, I realized he's really improving, Crawford admitted. And that's a big statement coming from someone as meticulous as Crawford, undefeated, technical, and obsessed with perfection. For him to even recognize Jake's progress means there's genuine respect building. He's not crowning Jake an elite fighter, but he's acknowledging that the effort is real and the growth undeniable.
Ryan Garcia fights for DAZN, and Jake Paul fights on Netflix. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Golden Boy has a contract with DAZN. Ryan Garcia has a contract with Golden Boy. And that's just the way it is. I mean, this is business. You know, Ryan Garcia's probably going to rant saying, oh, you're keeping me from making money and this and that and fighting. No, you have to go by the law, by the rules. You have a contract with DAZN.
The real turning point came when Crawford saw Jake fight live in Puerto Rico against Ryan Borland. Jake scored a clean knockout and Crawford happened to be there for a convention. I was sitting ringside thinking this guy can really punch with that right hand, he said later. Sure, Jake wasn't facing a world champion, but Crawford recognized the fundamentals: footwork, composure, timing, the kind that come from real training. For Crawford, it was the first time he saw beyond the YouTube label and noticed a boxer forming in front of him.
Like the influencer world would be the most lucrative thing for my career, and I think I was the only one who like actually wanted to do it. And actually wanted to go all the way. And that's why I set the goal for myself early to become a world champion, set the bar extremely high. And
now Crawford admits Jake Paul isn't trying to cheat the process. He's not calling out Canelo or Usyk tomorrow. He's climbing step by step, taking realistic fights and improving every time. People keep saying Jake should fight Usyk, Crawford said. No, he's got to work his way up. That's genuine boxing respect talking. Crawford says after watching him live, his perspective changed completely. And now, with Gervonta Davis possibly out, Crawford himself could step in something no one thought he'd ever even consider.
Kidnapping, all sorts of crazy stuff, guys. If this is true, I just talk about just fumbling the bag. One of the biggest financial opportunities of his career, and he's about to ruin it. It's being reported that Jake's team is offering Ryan Garcia as a replacement for a December.
When Crawford first heard about Jake fighting Tank, he thought it was insane, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. Jake walks around at 200 pounds, Tank barely hits 135. That's a massive difference. But Jake wasn't backing down. In a Netflix interview, he said, "Yeah, it's crazy. But that's what makes it exciting. Two big names, one huge question mark. My size is the equalizer." Jake framed it perfectly, skill versus size, experience versus ambition. And fans were hooked instantly.
See this footage? Look at Tank. Now, if you know what you're looking at, the guy must be around 150 right now, 153, something like that. And you can really tell when he's sideways. When you look at him sideways and see the depth. See, from the front view, you can't really tell. But when he turns sideways, the guy is a wrecking ball. He's literally a baby rhino.
That's Jake Paul at his best, confident, polarizing, and always selling the story. But the real shock came when someone asked if he'd fight Terence Crawford. Without hesitation, Jake said absolutely. Let's run it. That's when the boxing world perked up. Crawford, 42-0, an all-time great, and one of the most complete fighters alive, suddenly found himself in Jake's crosshairs. The matchup sounds wild, but it also makes sense. Jake's young, strong, and brings the numbers. Crawford brings credibility and skill. For business and buzz, it's a perfect storm.
I'm not gonna lie, you really got knocked out. Yeah, I really got knocked out. Watch the fight, you idiot. Went 12 rounds. Like, you're weird, bro. Bro didn't even knock me out or even throw punches. That's sad, bro. Just know, bro, I'm coming back. It's gonna be vicious. Like, you guys don't want to see that. You guys are weird trying to troll me over a fight I didn't even care about.
And that's likely why both sides are open to it. Jake even mentioned that the Canelo fight was nearly finalized before Canelo chose to sign a new deal in Saudi Arabia. Canelo and I would have been massive, Jake said. We're two of the biggest draws in boxing, but right now I'm focused on November 14th and handling Tank. That's Jake's mindset. One fight at a time, but always thinking ahead, always chasing the next mountain.
Right. He's 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach. But as you can see here, he's working on his versatility. He's now working on fighting orthodox. He's naturally a southpaw. Now he's working on fighting orthodox.
Now that the Tank Davis fight is off the table, the question is who's next? Terence Crawford fits that spot perfectly. He's got the reputation, the respect, and the resume. Jake brings the attention, the business, and the viral momentum. Together, it's pay-per-view gold. In boxing, when timing, money, and ego line up, anything can happen. And this matchup has all three.
Beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
It's a huge size advantage, though.
it is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Just a year ago, Crawford wouldn't even say Jake Paul's name in a serious conversation. Today, he's saying, if everything aligns, I'd take that fight. That's no longer a fantasy, that's business. Crawford has already conquered everything in front of him. Two-division, undisputed, undefeated, pound-for-pound dominance. There aren't many fights left that move the needle. But a Jake Paul showdown? That would be record-breaking. At this point, Crawford doesn't need to prove anything. It's about legacy, money, and timing.
What's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder? I think it's not a real fight. Jake just too big. Tank ain't gonna be able to get in from that jab. Jake land one good punch on Tank.
From Jake's perspective, the logic is simple. Beating Crawford or even lasting with him gives him instant legitimacy. He's tired of the YouTuber label, and facing a fighter like Crawford would silence critics faster than any marketing campaign ever could. Crawford's the real deal, and Jake knows sharing a ring with him would elevate his boxing credibility more than any retired MMA matchup.
My only concern is, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake.
But the surprises don't stop there. Two former UFC fighters, including Nate Diaz, are reportedly being considered as replacements for Tank. Then came the real shocker. Anthony Joshua's name entered the chat. After some online banter, Eddie Hearn confirmed talks have actually happened about Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. And Joshua's response was simple, classic, and bold. Just tell me where and when.
Kidnapping, all sorts of crazy stuff, guys. If this is true, Just talk about just fumbling the bag. One of the biggest financial opportunities of his career, and he's about to ruin it. It's being reported that Jake's team is offering Ryan Garcia as a replacement for a December.
That's the kind of line only Anthony Joshua can deliver, calm, confident, and straight to the point. No social media theatrics, no cryptic posts. Just pure readiness. Eddie Hearn later explained that while the idea sounds wild, the logistics are tricky. There's a lot that has to line up behind the scenes before something like that can happen, Hearn said. But the fact that AJ didn't dismiss it entirely, that's saying something. The main roadblock is business. Jake Paul is tied to Netflix while Joshua is signed to Daz and 2 rival streaming giants. Unless they agree to a co-promotion deal or crossover event, this fight can't move past discussion. Without Dazen's approval, nothing moves forward, Hearn clarified. It's less about gloves and more about contracts, but that's boxing in 2025.
Come out and put this fight in serious peril. So much so that reports have been saying that, hey, Jake Paul's team have already started contacting fighters about being a replacement, whether it be for this November 14th date or maybe a date in December. And the 5 names they already contacted are some of the biggest names in the sport.
Still, Hearn revealed that he's already spoken to Jake Paul's manager, Nakisa Badarian, about the situation. These aren't just fantasy matchups anymore. Real conversations are happening. And when Joshua was told about it, his response was immediate and confident. Just let me know where and when. That's AJ for you. No games, no hesitation, just business and belief.
The marketing genius, but when it comes to people that picking his fights, I can't get my head around it. If Tank hits him clean, he's going to sleep. He'll have a lot of smoke blowing up his backside by his coaching team and people like that, but when he gets hit for real, 10 ounce, well, I'm told it's 16 ounce gloves now, it's like an exhibition. Right. I'm told it's big gloves and head guards he's gonna need.
The original Jake versus Tank fight was always a spectacle, a 200-pound cruiserweight versus a 135-pound power puncher. Not exactly logical, but undeniably entertaining. Now with Tank possibly out, Jake's team is already scanning the horizon for the next blockbuster. Jake himself confirmed it on Sky Sports. Talks with Anthony Joshua are real. 100% it can happen. Our teams are already in touch.
The situation, you guys can look into it. I didn't, you know me, I don't really speak about stuff outside the ring, but now I have to since it affects the ring, okay, and what happens in the ring. The fight may be canceled. It's a civil suit from my understanding, and I don't want to, confuse you guys or misinform you guys. I didn't look into it much.
And in true Jake Paul fashion, he added, it'd be fun to face Anthony Joshua after this. It's a massive risk, and that excites me. That's pure Jake chasing challenges no one thinks he can win and turning them into mega shows. Joshua's 6'6", 250 pounds, Olympic gold medalist, 2-time heavyweight champ. Jake, still a cruiserweight with under 10 pro fights, but he thrives on disbelief. That's his brand, fearless, reckless, and marketable.
You know it's early. Less than 2 weeks, no fighter is going to take that. There will be no fight if it isn't Tank Davis on November 14th. As this moment, there has been no cancellation, but it seemingly is in the direction of Tank Davis not fighting Jake Paul on the 14th. So no fighter, legitimate fighter, is going to step in on 2 weeks' notice, even if it is.
Not everyone's impressed, though. Former UFC champ Michael Bisping went off on his YouTube channel saying, Jake's struggle to find a new opponent proves the hype is wearing thin. According to Bisping, fans were only interested in the Jake versus Tank fight because of the curiosity factor, small man versus big man. Without that, the spark just isn't the same.
The retort would be there's such a big weight discrepancy there, right? That's what some people...
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Tank probably sparred like heavyweights or light heavyweights and things like that.
Damn,
so
really?
It's probably nothing that he never seen before. I'm pretty sure Jake never fought nobody that little.
No, it's good. So that's the fascinating part about it.
I feel like it's more so harder for Jake to fight a smaller guy like that.
Bisping also echoed what traditional fans have been saying for years: Jake's opponents don't prove much. He's beaten retired fighters, aging names, and MMA guys out of their element. It's entertainment, not elite boxing, Bisping said. He acknowledged Jake's improvement, but still doubts he'd ever take on someone truly dangerous like Francis Ngannou.
Jake Paul versus Tank Davis November the 14th fight is off. The Jake Paul team have now reached out to Anthony Joshua, Floyd Mayweather, Ryan Garcia and Edgar Berlanga to replace Tank Davis, who is being sued for assault on his ex-girlfriend.
Bisping broke it down. Ngannou nearly beat Tyson Fury. He dropped him and arguably should have won that fight. There's no way Jake Paul takes that risk. He added, If Jake ever fights Ngannou, I'll admit I was wrong. It was classic Bisping, brutally honest but fair. To him, Jake's bravery stops where real heavyweight danger begins.
Is this really the case? It has been reported by a couple of online periodicals, and if this is the case, then it says something about influencer, crossover and exhibition boxing. Because the reports are that the Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis fight is light by 6,000 tickets.
And Bisping isn't just hating. He's calling it from a fighter's perspective. Ngannou isn't just strong, he's terrifying. He nearly shocked the world in his boxing debut against the lineal heavyweight king. Jake's bold, but Ngannou's power is next level. Still, that hasn't stopped Jake from talking back, and in the fight game, that's often how big moments begin.
Jake Paul, Tank, how you see that fight going?
Man, that's not a real fight. I like Jake.
Is Tank?
It's not a real fight.
It's not a fight. Does Tank have a chance? He's so much smaller. He's a real boxer, but he's so much smaller.
After Jake's fight with Mike Tyson, Ngannou fired a shot online saying he wanted to slap Jake Paul. Jake clapped back instantly, calling Ngannou a clout chaser. It never moved beyond Twitter, but it got people talking. Meanwhile, Nate Diaz's name is back on the table. He's tough, gritty, and unpredictable, a proven draw, but not the megastar Jake needs to fill Tank's shoes.
Boxing here. So early rumours for the replacement for Tank Davis to fight Jake Paul is Nate Diaz. It's going to be a rematch that no one asked for and no one wants to see. Unless you do. What's your thought?
Realistically, only two names move the needle, that big Anthony Joshua and maybe someday Francis Ngannou. If Jake somehow lands Joshua, it's game over for the critics. A YouTuber versus an Olympic icon? That headline writes itself. The only obstacle is the business war between DAZN and Netflix, two titans who don't usually share the same ring. But if the money's big enough, never say never.
I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually. I'm not hating on the fight, but I think my thoughts on it is let's watch and see what happens.
Ryan Garcia said his boxing's turning into WWE.
Yeah,
with that type of matchup. Do you agree? Last thing, White House card, like he said, you want Conor McGregor?
Yeah, but the whole thing's on WWE. So it's like, at least that's happening and getting something to talk about.
And that's where things stand. Joshua's just tell me where and when flipped the tone completely. This isn't fantasy talk anymore, it's real interest. Eddie Hearn wouldn't entertain it if the numbers weren't huge. Whether Jake beats Tank, fights Crawford, or lands Joshua, one thing's certain: he's keeping boxing unpredictable, loud, and impossible to ignore. What do you think? Drop your thoughts below and stay tuned for more top boxing updates.